Hello. In this course, you're going to have the opportunity to do corrections to post-lab assignments. So the purpose of this video is to go through that policy and then show you an example of how to do corrections. So the starting point, the place where the procedure for doing corrections is detailed, is in the syllabus. So I'm going to go to the syllabus here and scroll down to the third page. And so you can see that the policy begins right here. So there's a description of doing corrections and the purpose of them. And then there's some details here, which I'll go through really quick. The first thing about corrections is that there's only one type of assignment that you can do corrections on, and that's the post-lab assignment. No other assignments. You basically get 1 week from the date that you get your original work graded back in order to do the corrections. You have to do the corrections individually. It doesn't apply to post-lab assignments that you missed due to being absent and unexcused. Corrections that are accurate and complete will get you back 100% of the missed points. So that's pretty big. No partial credit will be awarded, so it's going to be important to know what you actually have to do the corrections. It's also important to know that the act of submitting corrections in and of itself doesn't guarantee that you get the credit back. You have to have, your corrections have to be correct, and they have to include one other element that I'm going to talk about in a minute. And then finally, there are certain deductions that may not be earned back at my discretion. Okay, so under that, we have the procedure for doing corrections. And so what you're going to do, and I'm going to run through an example of this, is when you get your graded work back, there's going to be a rubric that you can assess, that you can bring up on Brightspace. The rubric will tell you the questions that you lost points on, and it'll include any feedback for each section. So what you're going to do is you're going to open a new document. Not your original. You're not going to complete this on the original file, although you can look at obviously you can look at the original file while you're working. And what's in this point is important. This is the other element that you have to include when you do corrections. After each correction, you must explain why your original response needed to be corrected. Failure to include an explanation will disqualify you from earning credit back, even if your corrections are correct. This involves, it's a little bit of a reflection. It's getting you to think about why your answer was wrong and why it needed to get corrected. So it's important to include this. It doesn't have to be anything lengthy. Usually a sentence is fine. And it could be as simple as, I forgot to divide by a number. Then what you're going to do is you're going to save your corrections to your computer. And then simply upload that file to the same spot where you originally posted the assignment. So let me run through an example just so you can see how this works. So I'm going to go into Assessments and then click on Assignments. And so I'm going to show you an example using the very first post-lab, Measurements and Microplastics. So now if I want to see the rubric, I'm going to click right here. And it's going to pull up a rubric. And so taking a look at it, you can see that I did the sources of error quiz, that was right. I did 2A, my table was good. 2B, where you calculate percent error, there's something going on there. And so the feedback says to recheck your math. So let me open up a new file. And this is where my corrections are going to go. Okay, and so you can call it whatever you want, but I'm going to call this corrections, post-lab, measurements, and Microplastics. Okay. So the first one I'm going to be correcting is number 2B. And the feedback that I got on it was to recheck my math. So I'm going to open up my original submission, and if you need to open it up, you can either if you have it saved on your computer, you can either open it there. Another place you can find your submission is back on the assignments page. And if you click on one submission, one file there, it'll have all your submissions that you made. And so if you click on the link here, it'll download it. So this is the original submission. And so what I'm going to do is to put these side by side. So I have my submission and then I have my corrections there. All right. So number 2B, this is the one I need to fix. So there must be something wrong with the math because that's what the feedback said. So it says the percent error for the beaker was 0.30, the graduated cylinder is 0.21. And if I go back and look at what I did, if I look at my work, I would see that I forgot to divide by the actual mass, because that's what you do in this equation here, is you divide by the actual mass, and I forgot to do that in my calculation. So then what I would do is go in and say, for the beaker should be, and let's say I do the math and I find out that it should be 8.9%, and the graduated cylinder should be 2.12%. Okay, so I did the correction. Now the next part of this that has to be done is you have to explain why it needed to be corrected. So the reason why I needed to fix this is because I forgot to divide by the actual mass. So the reason it needed to be corrected is because I did not divide by the actual mass. And so it's as simple as that. It's just one sentence that explains why it needed to be corrected. Okay, now I'm not going to go through all of these, so hopefully you get the idea. But the other questions that for mine that I would need to fix is, let's see, 2D and number 5. So then I would go back here and have a new entry for 2D and then number 5. And I would put what I think is the correct answer and then the reason why it needed to be corrected. When I'm done, I'm going to save this to my computer. So just pick a spot. So corrections, and it might be helpful to label it. So I'm going to save it right to my desktop. And then what I'm going to do is go back to the assignment. Same place where you originally uploaded it, so right here. And then I'm just simply going to upload that file that I saved. Scrolling down, add a file, my computer, upload, and there's my corrections file. And then I'm going to hit add, and then submit. So again, you get 1 week from the date that you get your graded work back. And if you go to resubmit it, it may say that it's late. You can ignore that. It's just the due dates are based on the original assignment, so it's okay if it says that it's late when you submit your corrections. Other than that, please let me know if you have any questions about this policy. I encourage you to take advantage of it. It will not only help your grade, but will hopefully help to improve your learning in this course.